So the Kentucky State Supreme Court has said, no, it's not going to dismiss the special judge Christopher Cohron in the case of Mickey Stines coming up in the case where the judge was shot. The judge, Kevin Mullins, was shot in the judge's chambers by Mickey Stines. We're going to get into the details about why Mickey Stines' defense has asked for the judge, Judge Choron, to be dismissed in this case. And the Supreme Court has said, no, we're not going to dismiss him. We're going to let the judge himself decide if he can judge fairly over the case of potentially his own friend that was shot and killed in the judge's chambers. Let's get into the details. The devil's in the details. Let's go. Now, as you know, maybe if you followed this case, and if you're not, by the way, like and subscribe right now. Make sure you do it immediately because you don't want to miss. This is a huge case. I do want to digress for a moment and tell you that this case is a little different than a lot of our others in the sense that we believe in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And yet in this case, there's really no question whether or not Mickey Stines shot the judge. We've said this before on other videos. It's on camera. It's not ambiguous about whether he did it. The real question is, why did he do it? And is it justified? Is there any sort of justifiable homicide? Is it a self-defense issue? Is it a temporary insanity issue? All of those things are on the table as we get into what actually happened in the judge's chambers. Because again, whether or not he shot the judge is not the question. The question is why, and was it justified? And by justified, I want to make sure that you understand. I'm not saying vigilante justice is justified. What I'm saying is our law, many states have laws that justify, for example, self-defense. Killing in self-defense is justified in some cases. If you're threatened and somebody's trying to kill you, you can kill them first. And sometimes that is not something you can even be tried for. You can't be held accountable for defending yourself. There's no charge to the person who defends themselves in a self-defense case. Was Mickey Stines defending himself? Now let's get into the details about the judge, because the real fight today that just got submitted a day or two ago was a ruling by the Kentucky State Supreme Court, as I understand it, who said in response to the defense, no, we're not going to fire the judge who's going to oversee the case of Mickey Stines coming up next year. Why did they ask? That's what we're going to get to. Why did the defense ask for that judge to be removed? And why did the Supreme Court say, no, we're not going to remove him? Let's get into the details. All right, let's pull this up on screen. I'm going to show you an article, and then I'm going to show you a video. Not this video, but we're going to show you a video. This is filed from December 30th, 2025. So very, very recently, just a few weeks ago, a new motion filed in the Mickey Stines case over the judge's connection to the victim. So the victim is Judge Kevin Mullins, the judge that's been appointed to oversee the trial of Mickey Stines, who killed a judge, is himself potentially a friend of the judge who was killed. So can a friend of the judge who was killed properly and impartially judge a person who killed his friend and his colleague? That's what's at issue. So let's get into a little bit of the reading here. New filings have been submitted in the case against former Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Stines. We mostly just call him Mickey Stines, but Sean Mickey Stines is the full name. Stines is accused of shooting and killing Judge Kevin Mullins last year. On Sunday, the defense filed a motion seeking to disqualify the judge presiding over the case. The defense claims that a week before the shooting, 1 week before the shooting, the presiding judge and the presiding judge, which is Christopher Cohron, and Kevin Mullins both attended a meeting of the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health. This is going to be the crux. We're going to watch a part of that meeting to see what the problem is. So again, what the defense is saying is, look, we just found out recently that the judge presiding in the case of Mickey Stines, who shot Judge Mullins, is himself friends with Judge Mullins, and we have video proof of it. Video shows, and we're continuing on with the article, video shows them near each other the entire time during the meeting. According to the motion, the defense said this video was just recently brought to their attention. Now, sitting next to somebody, sitting next to a colleague doesn't necessarily mean that you're friends, but the question becomes, how close were they? Because if you watched, apparently, I didn't watch it, but if you watch apparently hours of the video, you'll see that they look kind of buddy-buddy, chummy-chummy. And so the optics look bad. If a judge presiding over the trial of the man who shot his colleague and friend, that's going to be a possible impartial or a biased judge, right? Because it could be a friend. You shot and killed my friend and my colleague. So that's the argument. So we're going to show some pictures real quick as we get into the video. And it's not going to be a super long video today. We're moving kind of fast. Yes, I talk a million miles an hour. Did I ask you to like and subscribe to the channel, by the way? You don't want to miss this case. This is a huge one. So if I didn't say that already, make sure you like and subscribe before we get too far. This on screen mostly is pictures of Judge Kevin Mullins. If you can see the big finger on the screen that I'm moving, that's Kevin Mullins. That's Kevin Mullins. That's Kevin Mullins. Here's Mickey Stines. That's the guy that's on trial for shooting. All the judge pictures here. So I just pulled up Judge Kevin Mullins, as you can see, and a lot of pictures are here of Mullins, but also Stines, because they're kind of inexorably linked at this point, being that he shot this judge, right? So, yeah, so get to know this face for the video so we can understand, and then this face. This is Judge Christopher Cohron. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. So this is Judge Christopher Cohron. He has kind of a unique look. You should be able to catch him. And again, we have Mickey Stines interspersed in some pictures because Mickey Stines is becoming inexorably linked with these gentlemen. But the real crux of the argument comes this video right here. This is uploaded to YouTube from the Kentucky Court of Justice. It is a meeting that was held September 16th, 2024 is the date of the video. It was the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health, meeting 9/12. So the meeting was 9/12. It was uploaded on the 16th of 2024. This is apparently weeks before, I think they said, the shooting of Kevin Mullins. And the judge that we're going to see here and the offense we're going to see here is related to how close they were. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take this off screen for just a moment so that I can reshare it with the audio because it needs audio, I think, for this. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share and go this and say share with audio just in case. I hopefully have my headphones plugged in and everything's correctly there. So we're going to play a little audio. You're going to hear a speaker talking. This is a meeting that goes on for over 2 hours. That's where they got the whole thing like, hey, look, the judges sat next to each other for hours and it looks like they're very chummy. We're only going to look for a portion here where you're going to hear the speaker mention Kevin Mullins in particular. Then the camera's going to focus on Kevin Mullins. You're going to see Judge Corin come walking in to sit down next to him. He'd apparently been there before, I think, and just took a break maybe and came back. But this is you're going to see those two gentlemen. And again, if I didn't show it, and hopefully there's Mullins, there's Corin. Now we're going to watch. Okay, they're not here on screen yet. Let's play.
A marvelous program to work with Empath for the first 6 weeks they've been in operation, and we're really excited. And just to tell you a real quick story, I was talking to Judge Mullins, and it's so hard for us judges to pinpoint. You see someone in the courtroom and they're acting erratically.
Now we're panning to Mullins because they're talking about Mullins. There's Mullins with the balding spot on his head. It's not important really to listen to what this guy is saying. In fact, I'm going to drop the sound down a bit. So there's Judge Mullins sitting there with kind of the balding spot. This is the man who was shot and killed in the judge's chambers. And again, the story of Ben Fields, we're going to talk about that a little bit just for your refresher. And again, I'm going to turn the voice down. It doesn't matter. In a moment, we're going to see Judge Corin arriving here on screen. And that's the big part that I wanted to show to you. Let's see if I can just skip forward. It looks like it's taking longer than I thought. Oh, no, he's right there. Right. There he is. In the back, that's that's special counsel, the special judge, Christopher Cohron. That's the one that the defense is trying to get removed because of this video. So this gentleman comes and walks and sits down, presumably next to his friend and colleague, Kevin Mullins. Allegedly, if you watch long enough and you've been there, you'll see that the guys are very chummy and they seem to know each other, even though at this moment they don't seem to look eye to eye with each other. It was clear that they had been sitting together. That chair was open. He came back and sat next to him. This is the allegations. We'll skip ahead just a little bit. Mullins and Corin sitting next to each other. Again, the camera moves away from them. We're back there again, Mullins and Corin's. And so that's basically what you needed to see for this part. So the point being is that the defense says, hey, look, we just recently found out these guys not only are colleagues, but they may be friends. They chose to sit next to each other in this meeting. They looked awfully chummy. There was other people that said they were close to other things. So I'm not going to get into all the details. I'm kind of slaughtering it. The point being is that the defense says this video suggests that these two guys are more than just colleagues, perhaps friends. So the Kentucky Supreme Court, again, the defense asked for Judge Corin to step down from this case, because how can he preside over Mickey Stines, who killed his friend and colleague, and do that impartially? And so they've asked for that judge to step down based on this recently released video or not released, but this recently discovered video of the two guys sitting close to each other, apparently in a friendly relationship. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled, Kentucky Supreme Court has ruled that they want the judge himself, Judge Corin, to decide for himself if he needs to step down. So, and before you freak out about that, that is kind of the way it usually happens with recusals. When a person recuses themselves, they typically step down because they find a conflict of interest. So what the Supreme Court is saying is, look, we don't want to rule and kick Judge Corin off the case. We want Judge Corin to look at the video and answer the question. Are you friends with Kevin Mullins beyond just sitting at a conference in which maybe you were just two colleagues who didn't really even know each other and just randomly sat there? Answer that question. And if you guys do have a friendly relationship, maybe ask yourself if you can impartially judge a man who shot and killed your friend and colleague. So ultimately, that's what we're waiting for now, is we're waiting for the judge, Judge Corin, to decide for us and for himself whether or not he can be impartial. Now, it's a good thing that there's not any fuckery going on. Oh, by the way, whenever I say the F word, I always remind myself to drop a parental discretion is advised warning on my screen, because I do say a lot of F words on this channel. So because there's a lot of fuckery in this county, and by that I mean this, the Mickey Stines is on trial for shooting the judge in the judge's chambers. That judge's chambers is the same place in which Mickey Stines' deputy, Ben Fields, allegedly, do I have to say allegedly? He was convicted of felony sodomy and rape charges of raping a woman in the judge's chambers. Now, in that criminal case, in that particular criminal case, which again, Ben Fields was actually convicted of felony rape and sodomy. I believe that was the two charges that he was convicted of. He spent 6 months in jail for that. Some people, by the way, are telling me now that it was pretty cushy jail as well, I think. But that's going to set that aside for the minute. But the point being is that he did spend some time in jail, but there's still a civil case coming up. So in the civil case, Sabrina Atkins and Jennifer Hill were filing a joint lawsuit against Ben Fields for what he did to them both. So it started out with just Sabrina Atkins, I believe is the name that started out, and then Jennifer Hill joined the lawsuit and said, yeah, not only what happened to you also happened to me. And so two people joined. And the lawsuit was basically over a very elaborate scheme in which, again, and a lot of you have heard this before, but if you're new, you need to hear it briefly, where they would basically take women that are incarcerated on home ankle monitoring systems and say, look, if you can't afford the weekly home monitoring charges or if you want some freedom to get around without your ankle monitoring, we'll go ahead and take you into the judge's chambers, remove your ankle monitor, you have a little sex with us maybe or whatever, and then you can come back for your next court appearance. We'll just put the ankle monitor back on you so you can appear in court and make it look like you've always been wearing your ankle monitor. You won't have to pay for anything. You won't have to do anything. You'll have freedom to go. All you need to do is have some sex with us. That'll be good. And by the way, Ben Fields alleges that's completely consensual because it's just an agreement that they made. This is just a deal that we made. I think that a judge has ruled that, it's for a jury to decide if that was a consensual agreement. Because again, Sabrina and Jennifer would say, Jennifer doesn't get to say anymore. We're going to get to that in a second. If you don't know what the story is about that, we're going to say that, no, it wasn't consensual. The only reason why they did these things is because they couldn't afford to pay their ankle monitor, and they were threatened to be arrested and put back in jail by falsely saying that they violated their home ankle monitoring anytime that sheriff's deputy decided that they weren't playing ball. He'd be like, oops, are you off your ankle monitor? Did I let you off? I'm going to have you arrested again. And that shit happened. Now, those of you who have been following the case know that Ben Fields' civil trial is coming up, the one with Jennifer Hill and Sabrina, but Jennifer doesn't get to testify because Jennifer just died. She just died. So now the lawsuit does go, and again, when I say she just died, literally they haven't told us how she died. Nobody has come out and had the nuts to tell us how she died. She just died. Her son apparently has reason to believe that his mother may have died of an overdose, but He's not saying anything too much publicly. So there's that maybe, but there's no official autopsy. I've requested it. I've got public records requests. I'm asking the coroner's office. I've been getting a runaround so far. Hopefully we'll get those records so we can see what actually the cause of death was of Jennifer Hill, because I find it mysterious when Jennifer Hill is filing a lawsuit against a deputy and the sheriff's department, with Mickey Stines being in that sheriff's department, the sheriff, Mickey Stines at the time, while they're filing that lawsuit, she just dies. She just dies. And nobody will tell us how she died. She just dies. I know I keep repeating it because it bugs the shit out of me. But the point being is that Ben Field's case is coming up, I think, in March, where he's going to face that civil trial. Mickey Stines' trial is coming up, I think, in 2026 for the shooting of the judge. And now the Supreme Court has said, hey, why don't in this entire what looks like a really, really, really messed up small county with corruption everywhere from all levels of law enforcement through the judges as well, the judicial system. Why don't the judges in that county decide or whatever if they can be impartial, if a judge presides over the shooting of his friend and colleague, Kevin Mullins? So we're waiting. We're waiting now to see what Christopher Cohron will say. Will that judge say, you know what, I think maybe I will be biased and maybe I should step down? Or will he say, in this particular case, that no, even if we are kind of on a chummy thing, he's just a colleague and I can be completely impartial. I'm a professional. I got this. So I want to know what you think, by the way. I want to know what you think about this. Should Judge Corin step down? What if it's a small county and there's not a lot of judges to go around? Should we move the jurisdiction to another jurisdiction so they can find a judge who isn't intimately related to everybody in that county? Because it's a small county, right? So the question is can you find an impartial judge? Is it just going to be the same thing no matter what judge they pick? Or should we distrust that if the judge says he's got this, and there's nothing to worry about corruption? So I want to be careful. This is a commentary channel and opinion. My opinion is that there is corruption in this county. That's an opinion. It's not proof. I can't prove to you anything. What I can tell you is that a sheriff's deputy was convicted of felony rape and sodomy charges in the judge's chambers. I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to think that Kevin Mullins, the judge, may have known that was going on in his judge's chambers. And by the way, people have come forward and given affidavits, sworn affidavits saying, yeah, Judge Mullins did know about it and participated in sex acts with women in the judge's chambers. I've seen the tapes, they said, of Kevin Mullins participating in sexual acts with women. So that's out there in the wind. I can't prove it. I didn't see it. I'm just repeating what's out there in the wind. That was a sworn affidavit that was given saying, yeah, I know Kevin Mullins was involved. But somehow during the discussion of Ben Fields using the judge's chambers for the things he got convicted of, it just never was really asked whether Kevin Mullins knew that was going on in his chambers. That's another amount of fuckery in this case. Let me know what you think. By the way, one more thing to consider as you go out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Mickey Stines, and this is the allegation, this is one of the allegations. So listen, this is one of the allegations. Mickey Stines was brought in to testify about his training, the training that he gave his deputy, that deputy that was convicted of sodomy and rape charges. He was asked, Mickey Stines, as the sheriff, did you properly train your deputy that it was inappropriate to sodomize women in the judge's chambers? To which Mickey Stines says, well, maybe he was not so great at training, and maybe actually he engaged in some inappropriate conversations with other deputies, and they exchanged pornography and had disparaging words about women. And so maybe he did run a department that fostered the kind of environment in which it would be seen as okay for deputies to have sex with inmates, female inmates, in exchange for sex. So Mickey Stines started to testify about that stuff. It is alleged that Mickey Stines was talking too much and was literally told before the Judge Mullins was shot and killed, shut your effing mouth. You should find a way to harm yourself or your family will be harmed. It's kind of a way of saying, without saying, maybe kill yourself or we're going to kill your family. And therefore, after the shooting of Judge Mullins in the judge's chambers, the defense said, hey, look, we're claiming a form of EED, which is extreme emotional distress or disturbance. It's basically temporary insanity. It's used for things like kind of like a self-defense or a temporary insanity, because they're alleging, they've already put it out there, the defense. Mickey Stines believed that his family was in danger, that they were going to harm his family if he didn't shut his mouth on the upcoming trial of Ben Fields. So I know that if you've been covering this for a while, you're probably tired of me telling you the same summary over and over again. I apologize for that. But if you're new to this, and I'd like to get more people on board because this is going to be a crazy, crazy story, like, subscribe to the channel. I got 5 cases at least that I follow. Idaho 4 is hot and heavy still, despite the fact that the defendant in that case pled guilty. Pleading guilty and being guilty, by the way, can be 2 different things. Read the book Framed by John Grisham if you don't know what I'm talking about. We also cover the Delphi case, the appeal of Richard Allen and his conviction of 2 murders, Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana. That is being appealed, and now we're going to pick up the appeal as a case because we believe there's fuckery again afoot in Delphi, Indiana. We've got the case peripherally of, again, Mickey Stines, but we've also got Luigi Mangione, the alleged shooter of Brian Thompson in New York. We've got the Long Island serial killer, Rex Heuermann, allegedly being accused of being the Long Island serial killer, of killing potentially hundreds of women, but he's on trial for 7. All of those cases we cover and more, but those are the premier ones. If you like any of those channels, if you like the whole legal process, we spend a lot of time breaking down legal documents, having attorneys on the show. We talk about the legal documents at length. We explain it to people in plain, simple terms, and we drop the F-bomb a lot. We have a show every night, Crimes After Dark. Make sure you like and subscribe and catch us tonight on the Crimes After Dark show, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great one. Like, subscribe.